Hello and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 362 at scavengerlife.com.
Ryan, have you ever heard that term, keeping up with the Joneses? The Jones.
Yep. The Joneses.
Jones. I was thinking about that this past week, hanging out. It's with our friends who make a lot of money.
Right. We keep thinking about that.
I mean, it was interesting, so we finished up a job we had where we're making videos, but, hanging out with people that make a lot of money.
Right.
That idea that I think is so prevalent in America where, you're trying to keep up with your neighbor or your people you work with. Or,
your colleagues,
Where, it's like, oh, he got a new BMW, like, I should get a new BMW. Or, he got a new iPhone, I should get a new iPhone,
Yep.
And a lot of it is status, Yep. It's just so interesting. And then I think about us and, like, probably a lot of the people that are hearing this podcast. It's just, like, such the opposite. Like, what's the opposite of keeping up? It's with the Jones, Like...
Right. What would you call it?
You almost like we purposely... are trying not to keep up with the Joneses. Like, we're trying to do the exact opposite of that, I mean, we talked about it the other day where we drive, like, a car that's... How old is that thing now? 21?
22 years old.
Yeah. We're about to hit 300,000 miles. It looks
like that, too. Actually, it doesn't look terrible. Like, if someone's like, oh, my car's 20 years old, I wouldn't think of our car.
Like, we had to replace a couple of things, so it's, like, different colors on the, like...
The spoilers, a different color.
We never clean the car, like, no really car washes. It's definitely had some dings and little small dents that, you come out from a store and someone's like backed into the car and you're like whatever, big deal.
Yeah.
The inside is, I keep it clean in the sense of like there's no trash.
Yeah.
But I don't vacuum it,
Like we try not to keep stuff in the car, but it is pretty dirty.
And even our clothes, like, we buy thrift store clothes and we can dress up fairly nicely.
When we need to, yeah.
But mostly we're super casual and like practical.
Look, honestly, it helps that we live in a rural area. Not that you couldn't do that in other places, but people don't look at you twice.
No. People here still do that, I mean, I know guys who like they get a new truck every
the nicest truck ever.
Years.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's a nice truck. And then I one time tried to go and see how much a truck is. And you can spend $70,000 on a truck.
When you upgrade all the...
Not even upgrading, just like, having a big old, like, F-150 or, a bigger one than that, And then, if you get the wheels and the rims and all that stuff, get a new boat. But anyway, so, it's like... And I don't know, like, if it's... Certain of us are hardwired to not think about that stuff or to not be concerned about that. Like, there is no just drop in my body.
Nope.
Where I am concerned that I don't look like I'm keeping up with somebody else.
I don't think that at all.
Like, it actually makes me feel better to pull my phone out. And I have a pretty nice phone. But it's like... It's a late with iPhone 5.
iPhone 5C.
Yeah, it's $50 now.
Yeah.
It's a great phone.
Great.
$50.
I love my phone.
Someone else is buying $1,000 new iPhone.
Both our friends. They were like, oh, iPhone 10 or
And the only thing I think of is like, that's a pretty cool phone. And probably for a years, I'll buy that for $100, you know? And it'll be great.
Like, if I drop my phone, I'm like,
Yeah, big deal.
If I dropped an iPhone 10, I'd be like, oh my god, it's a precious bar of gold.
I don't know, it's strange.
Well, I don't know, I think it's because we've just gotten to a point where we're confident in our lifestyle that I don't need to prove anything to anybody. Like, I don't have to have a nice car so that someone will hire me to be their lawyer or whatever. You know, like, I'm like, what do I care? Yeah. I sell stuff on the internet and I rent. Like, what's funny is when we pull up to our rentals and there's, like, fancy people from the city with, like, a really nice car. And I'm like, hey, You know?
Yeah.
Yep, this is my house. You know, it's just
which is really nice.
Which is funny. Which is a really nice house, right?
For other people.
But it's just, it is kind of hilarious. And, you know, because I met one of our renters and she pulled up and it was a BMW. You know, I was in my, like, dirty Acura with dirt all over it. Right. I was doing some gardening and I was like, hey, how's it going?
Yep.
Bye.
And I love that we have a community now where that's what we all talk to about each other. Like, we'll talk about things about how to save money. Like, someone just went on a road trip for, like, a week or something.
Yep.
And she was asking tips on, you know, if we don't want to eat out for every meal.
What do we do?
Hey, what are your tips? And people talked about the ways that they prepare food.
Yep.
And so she actually just got back and she was just talking about what they did, you know, and how they prepared food and didn't have to buy a bunch of meals.
Yeah, like going out to eat is nice sometimes, but if you're gone for a whole week, it's like, number one, you don't want to spend the money, and number two, you know, going out to eat can kind of be a pain when you're like, we gotta find a place, we gotta wait, I gotta like wait for the bill, and everything's slow, and it's like, just cook yourself something nice and enjoy where you are.
So we're the opposite of keeping up with the Joneses. We're like purposely avoiding. We're laughing at the Joneses is what we're doing. Oh no, you know what we're doing? We're waiting for the Joneses to get rid of their old stuff and then selling their stuff. That's what we're doing.
That's exactly right.
And speaking of we have like we don't have a lot of personal stuff, but one thing I have is I have a bunch of books that
photography books mostly.
Right. I was really into photography for a long time. So she's street photography.
It was before you got into video, really, right?
Well, it was at the same time. I was looking for people who were doing like street. Like my idea was when I was doing a video was like street a video, like taking documentaries, and so I was, and this is before a Netflix where now there's like a million documentaries.
Right.
I was looking at street photographers, and I bought a lot of those such cool photography books, and I'm looking at them right now.
Yes.
I bet if we sold all these, we could make a lot of money.
Yes, we could.
Because they aren't cheap. Like,
no, they're expensive books. $100
for a book.
Yeah.
But did you open one of the books up?
Right. So my brother has been doing street photography in New York.
On Instagram.
On Instagram, okay. And he is also a videographer, so he's in the same world as us, and he always has been.
His photos are really good, too.
His photos are really good. And I was like, how are you capturing these photos? Because he's capturing people, like, he'll just take a picture of a person on the street, and they'll see him doing it because they're looking at him, and you're like, how did you do that?
Yep.
Without someone being like, don't photograph me, you know? And he said, I'm basically copying this guy, Gary Winogrand. And he sent me this little, like, mini 20-minute documentary film thing about him on YouTube. And I was like, I have seen that name in my house, and I know that Jay has books of his. So I went downstairs, and I looked at our books, and I was looking through his photographs just to see his work.
Famous street photographer.
Yeah, he's super famous. He died in 1984, so he died a long time ago. But I found this letter, a handwritten paper letter that I had written to Jay when we first met. When we first were moving in. I think we moved in together 2 weeks later. After this letter.
It was sometime in the first 3 or 4 a month of being together.
Yeah. It was March 2005.
It was a love letter.
It was a love letter. It wasn't like gushy. It was more, which is so hilarious because you were really into documentaries and so was I. And the letter I wrote you was like, this is where I am right now. I'm at a diner in Connecticut. I'm just driving home from being in New York with you, and these women are talking about this, and then they talked about this. So it's so funny because it's like...
And you didn't remember writing it, I don't remember reading it.
I don't remember that.
We weren't really into writing paper letters.
Yeah, because we were on the internet, like, corresponding that way. So it was funny to find it, to see your address in New York with the stamp. It was March 17th, 2005. So it was really...
and so I only wanted you to tell that story mainly because it's sweet.
Oh, it's cute.
We loved each other then, and we love
How
each other
cute.
now. But also, it was, and I think about it, we were together for 4 years before we started to sell on eBay.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that,
4
about
years, yeah.
pre-eBay life and post-eBay life.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think back then, we were scavenging. We would kind of scavenge.
We would scavenge for our own apartments.
For ourselves.
I would sell stuff on Craigslist too, like when we lived in New York.
Right. If we had extra stuff.
Before we moved, I sold like everything on Craigslist.
But it wasn't like now where like I'm always like on and scanning everywhere we go to see if someone's getting rid of something, and I'm thinking that's money. That's money. I didn't do that back then.
Right.
I think back then too, we were just simply poor,
Mm-hmm.
Like we didn't spend money on stuff.
Right.
We were very frugal.
Right.
But it's mainly just because we didn't have a lot of anything, so we were just kind of living on energy and fun.
Right,
and
exactly.
Exploring and stuff like that.
Yep.
And it's so interesting that then we started figuring out that we could actually sell on eBay and that there was stuff all around us. And it seems like ever since then, it's just been a constant education of just, we can sell not only shoes and clothes, we can sell glass and tools.
Right.
And
just random...
anything.
Look,
anything!
The dehumidifier in our storage, our clothes storage, went out. We had like 3 extras because we buy them when we see them at thrift stores or whatever because they're expensive. So I had an extra one, but I really like this one and I need to call the manufacturer. But I'm like, I might just part it out and get back what I paid for it, which was like, over $100 because I bought it new, which is a little crazy. But, it's things like that where you're like, how can I get the money back I spent on this?
And I feel it is like going into the Matrix, and I guess most people have not done that. They haven't taken the blue pill, and they're still buying and just throwing stuff away and just getting rid of stuff. And then they're the much smaller segment of people who have taken that pill, and they cannot. I cannot
let it go.
I cannot throw anything away, especially if it has a value.
Yeah, and you go through the steps and we'll talk about what we did this weekend too, which involves this exact process where you look at something and you go, is that worth money? Is it worth a donation? Is it actual garbage? Those are the 3.
Right.
And then you're like, I'm going to research it.
But it also makes purchases, like when we do buy new things, like we'll upgrade our computers every 5 years or so.
We never buy those new anyway.
But it's fun to be like, okay, how much can we get for the computers we have now? Like, we're trying to time it where our computers aren't so old they're worth a 0.
Nothing.
They're still worth something. And then I want to still get a used computer, but how new of a computer can I get?
Afford?
And still have it be super cheap,
right?
I love that. It just makes every purchase kind of like a puzzle that I love to solve as a scavenger.
It's like when we talk to our friends who both had iPhone 10s or whatever and make a lot of money on their tech jobs. They were talking about, leasing cars and buying cars new off the lot. And we were just like, and it's kind of like that with anything, a computer, a phone. It's like, even if you bought an iPhone 10 used because someone brought it home and, it's still going to be worth less even though they've only had it for a day.
Yeah, it's
just this same thing of
depreciation.
The minute you drive that thing off the lot, it's worth 15% less.
Yep.
So why not just buy the one that's a year old that has almost no, it's all those things where you're like, oh, here's a thing that nobody ever used.
So kind of morphing this into a pure eBay topic. So one thing we did this weekend was we just happen to be in town, and we know these people that own like a local business, and
they closed their business.
And we knew that they had closed it, and we just stopped by to say hi, and they happened to be cleaning out their building.
Yeah, it's Memorial Day weekend, so they had roped in some other friends too.
And we were just there to say hi.
Yeah.
And, it was surrounded by all this stuff. He seemed really kind of like frazzled. And he just in an offhanded way said, I need to hire somebody
to get rid of all this stuff.
To just throw all this stuff away. We were like... And I was like, I got my truck.
Yeah.
Let us do it,
Because they were like, we have to haul all this garbage away. And we were like, we'll take it.
Yep.
Meaning, we'll take it to the dump.
Right. And so, it's interesting. So, we actually didn't expect to do this, but we spent, 5 hours?
Yeah. It wasn't, 5 hours. Yeah, it was about 4 hours.
And so, it was about 4 hours of cleaning. Him and his buddies were like bagging stuff up.
Like, this is trash.
Taking stuff upstairs, putting it out on the street. I had my truck, and we were just loading stuff into the truck. So we took 2 truckloads of stuff to the dump.
Actual garbage.
It was just garbage.
Yeah.
We took 2 truckloads of stuff to the
thrift store.
It's recycling.
Oh, that's right.
It was like plastic and paper.
Cardboard.
Yeah. We took 2 loads of stuff to donation.
Right. Because there's a thrift store like 2 doors down.
And then we took 2 truckloads of stuff to our house.
Right.
To keep.
Think of how much they would have had to have paid.
Yeah.
But, so here was the golden thing. Saying, okay, everything to the dump, everything to the dump, everything to recycling, everything to the thrift store. And we're like, okay, what about all this other, like, kind of nice stuff, and actually a bunch of its electronics from their store that they ran?
He was just like,
just take it away. They're like, just donate it. And we were like, well, we'll take it, and we'll...
He was like, I don't care.
Just put it in your truck.
It's whatever you want. But everything else, he was just glad, and we got that. And, I am born for that.
You are truly...
I love that. It like feeds into my OCD, like the healthy
put that over
part
there.
of me.
Okay, that's recycling. Okay, bag it up.
It would like sort this, and we did it. And I was like, okay, I bet we got some good stuff. It was like, I felt like though there's a lot of trash,
a lot of junk. Yeah,
it's this morning. We had the best morning
ever.
I could have imagined. We sat on the porch with the computer
and our sleeping cats,
playing some music with coffee, and we just started going through the boxes. And a lot of it was like electronics.
We found a laptop. It's a very old laptop, but
that's not the big thing. But he had a Square,
a Square
scan reader,
right,
in the box, phones. Printers, a color
laser printer that I'm definitely going to keep.
Yep.
A bunch of nice VTech cordless phones, some like cable modems.
So I mean,
I think stuff like that.
I think we easily got $500, if not $1,000.
If not $1,000.
It just depends on how it goes. We,
in a way, think of that as like free money, but to him, he's like, this is just.
Right.
Like, I don't have time for this. Well,
Well, that's the interesting thing, and kind of going on this whole tangent we're on about, like, I could not look at that stuff and just think, like, just get it out of here.
Just donate it. Recycle it.
He was giving us stuff that was perfectly good, and he was like, I don't want this, just throw it away.
Yeah, he's like, I don't have a business anymore, I don't need it.
But anyway, so it was great. So, and I always think of a comment someone made on our YouTube channel. It was like a year ago.
Yeah.
Where we talked about a similar thing where we bought something on Craigslist from a young couple who were moving to California. Yeah. And we went and we bought the thing. And they had a whole pile of stuff. And I just asked them.
Gave it away.
Hey, what are you going to do with that stuff? And they're like, we're just going to get rid of it. And I said, what if I just take it from you?
We'll just take it.
And they were like, yes.
Well, they were like, that's going to save us a trip all the way to the thrift store, which is like across town.
They were more than happy. And again, we made at least $1,000 off of all that stuff.
Minimum.
And someone said, you guys sound like parasites.
Right. So what's the difference?
So to me, I'm like, what a parasite would be in this world would be like, we go to Walmart and we steal stuff from a living, active business. We're stealing stuff and selling that, you know? And we're actually hurting the business by stealing stuff. Just like if you had like a parasite inside of you, it's like eating off of
off of you. Your
A
life.
scavenger is different. A scavenger would be like a raccoon or a crab.
You're
or
going
a
through
buzzard.
the garbage.
It's like finding something dead, something unwanted, and it's doing a service by cleaning the environment of something that nothing wants. And if these scavengers weren't cleaning up the environment, we'd have all this gross stuff around us.
Like vultures.
That's why we're scavengers, because we're finding these people who just are overwhelmed and they don't want this stuff.
Well, what was interesting, so he had an entire, 2,000 square foot basement that was full of crap.
Right.
And that's why when we saw him, he looked completely frazzled. But so we weren't expecting them to give us anything. We were just like, well, we have our truck, so we'll bring it over to the thrift store, and then we'll come back and we'll get the recycling.
There was the expectation of like, you allow us to take the stuff to the dump and we'll sort through it.
Yeah, we'll see if there's anything we want to keep.
And so again, there were 6 loads of stuff that was basically it's recycled donation trash. And
Stuff
only 2, so 25%.
Right.
Anyway,
so yeah. I mean, you're like, I'll do all this other work. It's not like we were like, well, give us that stuff and then we're leaving. That would be a parasite.
Everyone happy.
Exactly.
Everyone's happy. And that's just how it is, And so just like the buzzard that's just like eating the desiccated, gross, smelly, rotting corpse and loving it.
And surviving off of it.
I am loving going through boxes of cables and
finding old USB scanners. I'll sell that.
Just dirty,
sell that for
gross stuff.
I'll sell that for $20. Yeah, it was really dirty. It was actually everything was pretty filthy, so we had to scrub everything down.
But that's part of it's process. Like when we go to anywhere, estate sale, auction, and we come home, it's with a truckload of stuff. That's it's process.
You're like, what is this?
Stuff.
Does anyone care?
We have to clean stuff. We have to test stuff.
Yeah.
Sort it, bag it.
Yeah.
It's great. I went to our first yard sale.
Yep.
This weekend.
Yep.
First one
You must have just driven right by and you're like, hey.
We don't really do that. In the old days, I'd get the paper, the local paper.
We would scour.
I would highlight all the ones we wanted to go through. And you would put them in order, so we were really
geographical order.
Efficient. And we would spend a Friday or Saturday or something going to all these, and we'd wake up early. But we haven't done that in a long time.
We just haven't had to. We've just been finding stuff other places.
But it's still fun. I think yard sales are the most pure way to scavenge, because you're going into someone's yard or their house. They're wanting to get rid of the stuff. Their goal is, we don't want to
put this stuff back.
This stuff has to go. Yeah. And stuff is so cheap, 50 cents.
Oh yeah. You probably didn't spend $2 at that yard sale.
I do the pile. I'll grab everything, the pile, give me one price. Yeah. It's always better than what you can think of. So, okay. Specifically about eBay, there was another update.
So it used to be spring and fall. Now it seems like it's every
anyone new
season.
to eBay, this is how they do it. They do these updates.
Yeah.
It's normally a spring one and a fall.
Right.
And basically it's like an announcement.
Right. Here's the new things happening.
And they send everyone this page. It's almost like they're up on the mountain. They send down the commandments, and then we have to try to interpret them. Right. Which we were doing on the forum, I don't remember them doing a spring and a summer and fall, but
now they are.
And the big thing was just it sounds like the big thing are people who end their listing every 30 days. Right. To try and trick eBay
to freshen their
into thinking it's a new item. It's just totally cool, We don't do that. We do good till cancel. Now, if you want to do a sale, your item has to be on eBay for 14 days at a specific price before you can put it on sale. So for those of us that do good till canceled, it's no problem.
Because they're always up there.
Because we never end the item until it sells, so we can put sales on and off all the time.
Right.
But if you were to end your listing every 30 days, you can't put a sale on until after 14 days.
Right.
It can be on sale for 2 weeks. Then you end it. Then you start it again.
Oh, I can't.
And
if you're doing sales, that's going to be a pain.
And I guess they called it price transparency. That's what they called it. They're trying to create price transparency, because I wonder if it is those sellers who are trying to, I don't know, trick the system where they like post it, like they'll list an item 20% more than they plan to sell it for.
Yeah.
Immediately put a sale on it so it looks like you're
that could
cheap.
That could be.
I don't know. I mean, it's like if someone wants to do that, why not?
They should be able to. But anyway. I don't know. I honestly don't understand the purpose of that by eBay. It's like...
That was the big thing that, whatever. eBay is pushing the free it returns, so that's a big thing. I think it's like June 9th or something is when you have to actually do them if you want to get a discount on top-rated a seller.
I roll.
People were passing around a link on the Wall Street Journal, and I'll put it on the blog.
Yeah.
Where it's like Amazon and other big retailers are kicking off people
who do too many returns.
Yeah. So that's really interesting. It's like at the time when eBay's like embracing this, other platforms are starting to like actually...
Like kick people off.
Who are abusing the system.
Right, because on Amazon it's like ridiculously easy. You're just like... Item not as described, free return, you've opened it, like...
It's done.
There's nobody even talks to you, you just like print the label, get it scanned, and they give you your money back right away.
And look, we're still very pro eBay because we enjoy to sell there. It seems like it's the only platform where we can sell the kind of scavenged goods we find at the rate that makes us enough money to have a life.
Right.
So we enjoy it. But I really can't remember the last time eBay did something like really original.
Like not chasing Amazon.
Yeah, it seems like every update is where they're just trying to copy what some other platform is doing, mainly Amazon. I think the last thing I can think of is when they did the global shipping program.
Yep.
Maybe, 5 years ago or something like that?
I think it was less than that, but yeah.
Where they did something that was really cool.
Yeah.
Where we could sell overseas without a lot of hassle.
Yep.
And that no one else was doing that.
Yeah, it's so really a great... I mean, I love it.
I really hope that eBay starts to think of, instead of trying to copy other platforms, try and do something that's like specific for eBay.
Right.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And I will say, on the forum, we had some nice, long, kind of obnoxious conversations about conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
And when I say that is, when things get slow, like it is right now, it's just, it's just kind of how it is. I feel like the conspiracy theories that people have about eBay get really loud. And... It's interesting that we never really hear these during the holiday season when sales are good. And I think that's the biggest myth that people have about eBay is that the way we sell during the holidays should be how it always is, all the time.
You want it to be that way.
They want to be making $10,000 a month, every single month, all year round. And when it isn't like that, they think there's something wrong. Yeah. eBay is trying to do something. And the best thing any of us can learn is that all retail is slow.
We have to remember that.
And every business will live for the holiday sales. Like Walmart, whoever.
Like even Amazon. Look, Amazon started Prime Day, which is in the middle of July.
Right.
For this exact reason, because they're like, summer is dead.
Right.
Even on Amazon, the biggest, in retail in the world.
To me, it's like there's nothing wrong with eBay during the summertime. It's working as is. It's just that, and I think some people just hate to hear this, there are parts of the year where people just don't want to buy your stuff.
Yeah.
That's it.
They just start buying anything.
So, we've said this before. We have built our business. We built our lives to survive on summer sales.
Right.
It's not horrible. We're about to talk about our numbers. It's not bad.
Yeah.
But it's not like Christmas time, and we make sure our costs can be covered by our summer sales.
Right.
And then when the holidays come and we're making oodles of cash, we make sure we save that away.
Right.
So we can live fine.
So our bills are...
But if our cost could only be covered by holiday sale rates,
we'd be in trouble.
We'd be in big trouble.
Yeah.
And I'd probably be freaking out too and thinking like eBay was trying to kill me.
Yeah.
It was trying to poison me.
Yeah. Destroy your store.
Destroy my life.
Yep.
My soul.
But it's not.
Yep.
They don't know anything about you.
Yep. They don't care.
You have a store.
I mean, I think that's the thing. Like, eBay doesn't care about me.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And that's okay.
It's okay.
Okay, let's talk about our numbers real quick. We sold 35 items for about $1,800.
That's not bad.
Now, we always say we need to make about $1,000 a week in order to live.
Right.
It was actually a great week.
Yeah.
And one reason was because we were selling a lot of high dollar items, like $100, $150 items.
Yep.
So our average selling price was $50.
That's a great average selling
Now,
price.
didn't it feel really slow? It kind of picked up towards the end.
Well, yes, it did feel slow, but those high dollar items, you know, if you get a $150 sale in a day, you're like, great.
Yeah.
That, like, saved my day.
Right.
The only problem is there were a couple, like, unpaid items. Like, someone gave me an offer for $50 on a dress, and then a day later they're like, sorry, I didn't mean to send an offer, or something.
But most people did pay.
Yeah,
or,
most people.
except for that one person,
Yeah.
everybody paid. And it was great. And that's why, God, I love when we find those weird things. They take a long time to sell, but they can sell for a lot
of money.
$100, $150.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think about it. If you sell something for $100, it would take you selling, 5 things of $20?
Yeah.
Or 7 things of $15,
Right.
you know? So it's just so nice. It's so much more
That one
efficient,
chunk, yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And then in our second story, we sold 2 things for $81.
Dude.
I feel like
honestly that's the lowest it's ever been.
no, we've actually had a couple weeks these past couple of months where we've only sold under $100. I feel like maybe our second store is the autopilot store.
Yeah.
We don't list there. There's now 890 items. We had like 1,400 items in there.
Yeah.
And
Slowly.
we have not listed in like 2 years.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe we might have hit that point where like
maybe we should list
it's
them
actually
over
starting
there.
to affect the sales.
I don't know. But I'm just kind of like, whatever.
Right.
It's like stuff sells over there, and yeah.
Anyway, that's so you know we know that there are people who post on the forum who have about that many items in their store. You know, 900, 1,000 items. Man, I would be freaking out if I was making $80 a week. You know, if that was my only store. You know,
I would too.
Okay, things we sold. We'll just talk about a handful of things that was kind of exciting. This is all old software.
Yeah, so I was cleaning out my office, which I seem to always be doing, and it never ends. And I found a thing of old software, just old stuff that I'd collected, you know, for the last 15 years.
Like Photoshop and Final Cut.
Yeah, like Photoshop from like 1999,
right.
You know, and you're like, who wants this? Well, someone bought Photoshop 5.
And this is a question. Who is buying this stuff? Because they paid like $30 for a Photoshop disc.
Yep.
With the serial number.
Right, it had the serial number.
But like...
you're like, what computer are you using this? Well, it had a Mac and a Windows version, so I'm like...
I know, but are people really taking old computers, fixing them up, and then
putting Photoshop? I don't know.
Photoshop and...
Right. I have no idea.
Right.
And... But like, when I had the stack of discs, and I was like, I'm going to look a couple of these up just to see if they're garbage or whatever. And... the sold, like, old OS for Mac, like OS 10.5.7.
Yep, that sold for $37.
It was Leopard, I think,
right.
But it was an install disc for doing... And that sold almost right away.
I just assumed that those kind of discs would be online and you could just download a disc image. You know?
But sometimes if you're like, I'm trying to... I don't have like a good internet connection or this computer's an iMac without Wi-Fi and I don't have an Ethernet, then I need the disc,
it's great.
You know?
The $36. But anyway, who knew? It's great. We sold an umbrella stand for $175.
Yeah, now this is
real quick, this is me.
Okay, then explain
I bought it.
Your thoughts.
It's wooden. It's like painted real colorfully. I don't know what's...
It's called Florentine. This is why I was starting the story.
Okay.
You don't even know what the hell it is.
But I bought it!
Yeah, but it's Italian, and it's called Florentine style, and it's this, like, painted wood. It looks a little bit distressed, and it's got, like, gold and, like, floral, and we've sold some Florentine trays.
Right.
And they sell for a lot of money.
Now, this is why we're a good team.
Yeah.
Because, I saw it, I bought it. I don't know why I thought it would be worth a lot, but it just looked really cool. And that's why we're a good team. And then I can pass it off, and you know it and can explain it.
I knew that Florentine style was popular right now. I don't know why. But what's hilarious is one of my helper who was like taking photographs of them, she was like, "Man, people sell these for a couple $100s." And I was like, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Like, it's just funny when they're like, this sells for a lot of money. I'm like, how do you think I make a living? Yeah. I gotta sell this stuff for like a good price, you know?
I was kind of surprised too. I mean, I thought it was cool and it would sell, but...
So we sold it for $175. Yep. We took an offer. I put it up for $2 something, and it was on sale at that moment, and they gave us an
took
offer.
that offer.
You're like, yes, just...
We also sold a big lot of dead stock, which means brand new, but I guess they've like pulled them. Like old stockings, like pantyhose,
nylon, nylons or pantyhose,
like from the 70s, I guess,
60s, 70s.
It was just we bought it at a thrift store for $5 or something.
$200.
A big box. We bought it for cheap.
No, we sold it for $200.
I know. We bought it for cheap and we sold it for $200.
Right, but you weren't getting to the price fast enough. And you always say that to me. You're like, well, how much did it sell for? You're talking about it for 5 minutes. I had it up for really, really high. I had it up for over $400. Yeah, $500. Because honestly, if you have stockings from the 50s, like silk stocking, that stuff goes for a lot of money. Right. These ones from the 70s, not so much.
I was always going to be like a fetishes people or women that do those like... those shows where they like dance, like what do they call them?
Oh,
all the like hipsters are into it.
I want to say cabaret, but it's not cabaret.
That kind of thing.
It's like burlesque.
That's what I thought that it would be.
Right. So who it did sell to is a set designer for movies and shows. So that makes total sense because they also bought a bunch of old boxes of new old stock staples. So nylons and staples. So you're like, clearly someone's like making a set of like a department store or something, you know?
We sold another one of my ICP hats, Insane Clown Posse hats. And for those of you who don't know, Kottonmouth.
Whoop, whoop. It was Kottonmouth Kings. It's like a different band though, isn't it?
No, I think
No, Kottonmouth Kings is a different band, but maybe they're on the same record label.
Well, sorry, okay.
You don't even know what you're selling.
They've sung together, okay?
Okay, fine. So anyway, $42. Stop.
We sold another one of I bought these two. They're like a leather bound.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like a vampire book. It looks like a vampire would hold this thing. It's got like stones in the thing, and he would write down all the people whose blood he drank. And it sold for $100.
Another thing I sold for over $100, I think it was like $115, was some vintage made in France cat eye sunglasses that I think I bought for like 50 cents.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm gonna sell that for $100. And I did.
I'm gonna sell that.
I'm gonna sell it.
Oh my god, wait, what have we become? And then we just sold, again, a lot of bread and butter things. We're not going to talk about it, but all the things that people sell. Shoes, shirts, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, what's your scavenge of the week?
Okay, scavenge of the week. I bought at a yard sale salt and pepper shakers.
Right.
Like a lot of vintage ones.
And they're all different.
Yeah, I mean, and some of them were like Art Deco, and normally I wouldn't care. It was $2 for all of them, and when I took them up there, it was a woman, and she had her dog, and she's like, "Oh, I spent my whole life collecting these.
Yeah.
And now I hate them. Just take them. And I was like, this is awesome. $2, you know, also each one individually or pair
One of them was made out of crystal.
Yeah.
One of them was silver plated.
Yeah, so
I just
funny how
love
that
that
works.
someone like basically didn't understand why they were collecting these, and then they were like, I hate these. Why
well,
do
I think that's what a lot of
these?
people do. They have collections and it's just kind of like, I mean it's an obsession in a bad way. It's just like something to do. It's just like
something to get into.
It's like a game that you give it yourself. You know, it's like stamps. It's like you just need to collect them all.
I just need to fill in all the blanks.
It's Beanie Babies, you know.
Put them on a shelf.
Yep, that's what she said.
I'm sure she put them on a shelf.
They're on the shelf. And I just want them out of my house.
Yep. Okay.
How about you? Anything you?
Scavenger of the week was everything we just got at our friend's basement store. Electronics.
Yep.
Like if I can test these computers, the laptop and the square and the getting stuff for free.
Yep.
Is the best.
It's like.
We did some work.
It's like the best feeling in the world.
It was like sweaty and dirty, and we had to drive back and forth a million times. Yeah. But I'm fine doing that work.
Right. It was great. We cleaned out his basement. He was super psyched. It didn't cost him anything.
The basement's spotless now. There's not a thing down there.
And we got to keep what we wanted.
Yeah.
It's just like the crab. We're crabs.
Yeah.
I like being a crab. Okay, customer issues. A couple things. We got, get ready for this, 2 negative feedbacks this week. And I'll just kind of preface this whole thing of just like, this is how it works for us. It kind of comes in waves, and it comes out of nowhere.
Right.
We got 1 negative feedback on a $14 shirt.
Right.
And the woman didn't contact us, and she, in the negative feedback, just said, it's more worn than I thought. It was a used shirt. And then the other one, also we did not hear from this person. It was on a pair of playing cards, and they just said, more worn than I expected.
Nobody asked for a refund. We have free returns.
Right. And it's just confusing to me. And I don't, and for us, we just kind of eat it. It's like all we can try and do is call eBay and be like, why do we get this? I want to send it back. Like, can you help us?
I mean, and most of the time they just say, well, that was their opinion, and then you have to keep the negative.
I mean, some people that sell on eBay say that they like email the person and they convince them to change their.
I've never ever had any success doing that.
Because for us, it's like because they left it without contacting us, I just don't know if they're going to want to have a conversation. I don't know. We just eat it. And just so anyone that is new to eBay, this happens. All we do is just to sell more and dilute the negative feedback. And we always answer it, so publicly.
You can reply publicly. Right. So I usually what my reply is, and this is usually, it's always true. You say, I take returns. Now I'm going to say, I take free returns for 30 days for any reason. Buyer did not want to return item.
Right.
They could have had all their money back. Yeah. Didn't even have to pay to return it.
But it is a frustrating, and that's just how it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jay, let's talk about food.
This is your favorite part, so I'll follow your lead.
Okay, so when our friends were visiting and we were like cooking with them, I was eating a lot of they had beautiful bread and crackers and potatoes, and I was feeling it. I was
feeling bloated.
Yeah, I'm carb bloat, and also just you're eating a lot because you're a lot of it was a stress eating because you're tired or working.
It was stressful.
Just crackers and cheese all day. Yeah, yummy. And so I've been trying to be keto again this week and just do meat and salads and
And we've been enjoying our CSA, our Community Supported Agriculture.
Yes.
Every Wednesday, I get a big bag of vegetables. I put it in there, and it's fun. It's like a scavenger hunt. You go in there, and you're like,
what am I going to do with this?
How do I cook? I'll just figure it out. And, I make something, and it's great.
Yeah, so I'm excited to cook some of those vegetables. I'm going to grill some eggplant with olive oil and salt and pepper. It's so good.
So, what are we going to do? It's this week. Well, I was determined we were going to go to an auction.
In the city.
Go to a big auction, go get a whole truckload of stuff. Because it's been about 6 weeks.
Yeah, a while.
And I was like, we're getting down in our inventory. And so we need more. But because we just did this clean out, we have at least a week's stuff that we need to take pictures of and list.
And like high dollar items. So we're like, we might as well work on that.
So we're not going to an auction. It's fine. We'll go next week.
I wish the auction was closer.
I know.
I hate driving in there, but...
And for us, the flea market, there's my favorite flea market's about a half an hour away on the weekends. I want to go to those.
Yeah, we have to just... Well, what's so funny is, like, yesterday we had not planned on doing that clean out at all. We had all these other plans. We're going to go to the auction this week. We're going to get ready to do that. And we might even go to the flea market, and none of that happened because we're like, we have so much stuff to process right now, which is great. That's a very good problem to have.
Yeah.
Okay, let's listen to calls on the voicemail line. The phone number is 540-407-8486.
Hi, guys. Even though you almost lost me, Jay, with that cut off the last quarter of an inch of the chapstick, and now half the podcast about cooked cabbage. You guys have some great content that can't be beat. Hopefully I can add to it with relatively simple things here that I had going on. With all the new metrics that you guys talk about, having to offer free returns and 30-day returns, which is a lot of things that I haven't done in the past. I sell things that generally people are pretty firm that they want, not sweaters that don't fit. Nevertheless, pretty routine things over the last few months. I had a lot of 7 military patches up for a very reasonable price, like $10 or $11, probably even with free shipping, basically giving them away. A guy messaged me through the system, hey, can you break off one, probably off eBay, sell it to me, and I'll send you, $6 PayPal and just throw a stamp on it. I basically refused, and I said, I'll meet you more than halfway. I'll add an old patch, sell you the entire lot for $7.50 and do free shipping. So basically giving the stuff to the guy, like keeping it on eBay. So in keeping with the tradition of the guy that talked about a year and a half ago about those small postcard envelopes, 2 stamps and it went on its way. I wasn't overly concerned, but that was in the back of my mind, that episode. The second thing was I sell Jerry Garcia ties in lots of 3. It doesn't make sense to sell them pre-owned in lots of 1. One gentleman bought 3 at like midnight and 3 more at 1 o'clock in the morning. When I woke up, I saw this, and I had them pre-packaged into poly bubble mailers. I threw them both into a priority mailer, padded, and upgraded the guy at my cost a little bit because it made sense. It only cost me a few dollars, but I forgot to combine shipping. But the lo and behold of all this is it was 2 defects. They both counted as no tracking uploaded. And like I said, with everything else going on, I did not want this to count against me. It took me 5 calls, and I never got it resolved with the eBay representatives. When I told one guy, I said, nothing's in dispute here. The person left feedback. The other shows that it got there. He goes, I don't understand what you mean nothing's in dispute. Another rep, after 40 minutes on the phone with her, she goes, oh, we can't remove feedback. And I'm like, I'm not asking for you to remove feedback. I didn't get a negative feedback on either one of these, nor have I ever. So I mentioned to these reps, you guys eat, $200 sales when something arrives, whether it be a cracked iPhone, and one person says it's more cracked and one person says it's less.
Okay, you got cut off. You went over the 3
You went
minutes.
over.
Yeah. It's like the Gong Show. Bong.
Number 1, just for point of order.
Yeah.
When I find a used chapstick, I do not cut off a 1/4 inch.
No, a 1/4 inch is way too much.
I simply take like a Kleenex and just like wipe the top.
Like cutting off a 1/4 inch, that's wasting so much chapstick.
Okay, but to his point.
Yeah. To his point. Okay, so let's... Yeah, so you were saying for the first, set of patches where you're giving the guy a deal, yeah, it's hard to just throw a stamp on something like that and be like, well, there's no tracking, so they could just be like, well, I never got this.
Right. You're taking that risk.
Yeah, you are taking that risk. And a lot of people do it. A lot of people who sell postcards, they're like, well, I don't want to charge $2.50 to send a postcard. No one wants to pay that.
I'll just eat it if it gets lost.
Right. And then the other thing about the combining shipping, I've heard it's weird. It's like you said, the guy bought the ties in the evening, and then, at 3 a.m, he bought the other 3. And that's not the same order. So you kind of actually, I don't think eBay will allow you to combine that shipping, because you'll print a label for one of those orders, and then if you say, oh, this is the tracking, they'll be like, that tracking number's already been used on eBay. So you really can't combine shipping in that case, which is really odd. And I'm surprised that the reps weren't like, oh, it's the same person, same username, same address, and you on the same, day they bought that stuff. Yeah, I don't know the answer.
I think also, if I'm understanding right, just the bigger idea of we don't sell anything that we're just giving away. I mean, every so often we'll have stuff that's been up for a long time, and it's very rare, but we'll just be like, let's just bring the price down for $5 and just get rid of it. That's pretty rare.
That's rare.
We would never purposely list something where we're not making a money, because honestly, it's like this. It becomes a pain in the butt.
Yeah,
then those kind of people that are trying to, it's already a deal. They want a better deal. They're the worst kind of buyers. So.
And then they want to return it.
Yeah.
So
when you sell stuff where there's a medium amount of profit, then it's worth the hassle, worth doing everything, because it makes financial sense.
Right. Exactly.
But I'm glad you called.
Hi guys, this is Isaac from Texas. I enjoy the show a lot. Appreciate you guys and the info you put out. First time caller. Just wanted to ask you guys if there were any other podcasts that you recommend. I start my week listening and listening to podcasts, and so far you guys are the only ones I listen to that talk about eBay. So if you had any recommendations, I'd appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.
So this is a question we get asked kind of on a regular basis about what other podcasts are there on eBay. So number one, I also agree. I love podcasts.
Right.
It's specifically audio only podcasts. I, on my phone, I subscribe to a bunch of them. I've got a Bluetooth thing on my car where I hop in, it automatically starts playing a podcast from my phone where it picked up, and it transmits it over the speaker through an FM transmitter.
Right, exactly.
It's great. It was $5 on Amazon.
No, it wasn't $5. It was $15. It's worth it.
It was 15 cents.
Yeah, right.
I love it. The thing is about with eBay, I find that there aren't a lot of audio only podcasts.
There's a lot of it's people on YouTube, mostly, showing what they do on YouTube.
I really don't know of any other that's just audio only.
Yeah.
I guess eBay Radio, I think they must have an audio only version of it like that.
Well, when you say audio only, eBay Radio is just audio.
I'm sorry, yeah.
But do they have a podcast version of it?
Is it more... Yeah, is it like an RSS where you can... I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea.
So that's the only one that I know of where it's just audio. Most of the others are video.
YouTube people.
So number one is, I think, Craigslist Hunter.
Yeah.
He puts out consistent content where he talks about scavenging. Yeah. And, he's a guy to really, I guess, learn from. He's pretty big time.
He's got a big warehouse and employees.
Sells a lot, yeah. So he's good. It's also hard to find people that are pretty consistent.
Right.
One that I just found recently on YouTube, and I've only seen a couple of their videos, but it was good. It's Rally Roots, RALLI, and then Roots. And if you go to YouTube,
someone linked to them on the forum.
Yeah, and then I watched a couple of his videos, and it was good. It's him and his wife or girlfriend.
Yeah,
they look like models. They're really good.
I know. You're like, what the hell? Why are you selling on eBay?
But it's a video. But I'm assuming you could probably just play it in the background.
Right.
And and they seem to put out a lot of videos too, and they seem pretty interesting.
And there are lots of other podcasts that have nothing to do with eBay that we listen to.
Yeah, that's what we listen to.
I listen to like podcasts about politics and tech and
dead people
and true crime podcasts. Yes, I do listen to those.
True crime,
mostly because I am concerned about justice.
That's right,
cold justice.
Well, I was asking you about that because I sent you an article where there's this whole thing.
Yeah.
Where there's this subset of women that are really into like
true crime,
all those shows on TV, about a Lifetime and CSI.
It's almost like goth for grown-ups. Okay, that's it for the podcast. You can check out the blog at scavengerlife.com for the links we discuss and to join the conversation on the forum. You can call and leave a question on our voicemail line. Please remember, you have 3 minutes.
And only 3 minutes.
And if you need to keep going, you need to call back. The phone number is 540-407-8486. We post an episode every Monday morning. On Wednesday, we post a What Sells video. Currently being brought to you by Steven Schultz. You can subscribe to us through iTunes or YouTube, so you always get the latest episode. We're ending this podcast in 3, 2, 1.
Bye.